I've been doing a lot of movies lately about the layout and skeleton and master model, and I kind of want to combine some of those ideas. Some of these names that people give, like such as skeleton modeling, are really just a variation on layout, and I'm not sure that we really need a new name for that sort of thing, but this is a take on combining layout and master model. So what was done in this case was I used a 3D sketch. And if I roll this back, we see we've got just a 3D sketch. This could be a frame, could be a weldment, could be a building or a structure, could be a cabinet. There's a lot of things that this could wind up being. Could be made of wood, could be joined together with welds or with pins or nails or screws, or a lot of different ways that this design could be constructed or and uses for this method. So the way I've done this is I started out by just creating a single leg. Okay, this winds up as a single body because it's the only thing in the part right now. And then I created a top, and that is created as a separate body, as an intentional choice. I had to turn off that merge switch. If we take a look at it, the merge switch is right here, merge result. If I turn that off, this becomes a separate body, and it doesn't automatically merge with the leg. And then I created a half of this long stringer in front. The reason I did half of it, you'll see here shortly. And then I made a peg on the front of it. Ideally, this should probably have been done as a separate part, but I just did it integrated with the stringer. From here, I mirrored the entire stringer so that the peg and the rest of the board comes into being. And then I created a short stringer on the other side, and I did exactly the same thing. I made a peg, and then I mirrored it. And then I did something I shouldn't have to do, but I did this. I used the move copy body, and you get that through insert features, which is off the screen, move copy. When you do this, you can copy bodies just by making sure that this switch is turned on. I didn't actually want to move anything. I just wanted to copy these. And that's because the combine feature, when I want to create holes in the leg, I use the combine feature. But if I use that on the stringers, it consumes those stringers. So there's not an option to turn off consuming the original bodies. So I made copies, and then I used the copies to do the consume. So if you look at the combine feature, you see that the bodies that are combined here are the copies, not the originals. All right, and from here I did a mirror where I mirrored this leg and that stringer, and then I did another mirror where I mirrored these two legs and the short stringer. What this does is it gives me a table with individual parts, and this leg has holes in it. I should have also done something like that to join the legs to the tabletop, but if you understand how to do the stringer to the leg, you'd also understand how to connect the leg to the tabletop. In any case, now I have a set of bodies, and I can do this. Right-click on the folder, Save Bodies, and the Save Bodies is a master model technique. Auto-assign titles. Do not consume cut bodies. Origin location, I'll leave blank because it's just going to use the default origin, which I believe is right in the middle of the bottom of the table. Create assembly, and I will call this the table assembly, and assign templates or use the default templates. Click OK. So what this does is it saves out each body to an individual part file. Now I wish there were a way to assign bodies that are the same to the same part file. For example, All four legs are the same, and two of the stringers are the same. Now I can open up that assembly, and I've got each of the individual part files. Each one of these can have a drawing. If I open up this part in its own window, you can see it's got the two pinholes in it that are holding it together. And it should also have a pin or some way to join this to the top of the table at the top. But I can leave that to you to figure out. And remember, this M is because I'm using the Maker version of Solidworks. That's all that is. It just means that you can't open these files in the commercial version. So that's how you combine the 3D sketch layout, what some people call a skeleton, together with the multibody method to create an assembly of parts that go together. And I believe that this method is easier to control. You've got fewer in-context relationships. This still has the external relationship symbol, but that's because the individual bodies from one part were published to another. It isn't an in-context relationship where one part is related to another part through the intermediary of an assembly. So this is, I think, a much better way to go. We got the assembly over here. We got an individual part. And we have the original multi-body part being shown here. Now I want to show you something just as a curiosity. If I were to edit a feature here, we take a look at the flyout feature manager, and it's showing an assembly icon here rather than a part icon. This might just give you a little insight into how SolidWorks is thinking about your multi-body models in the background. I just thought I'd point that out. You know, maybe it's a bug or maybe it's a clue. It's hard to tell which that is. In any case, thanks for watching. If you found this valuable, tell your friends, send them a link. You can also give it a thumbs up and subscribe.